Is a little bit after 6 o'clock, 6:07 p.m., and we are at the 901 Main Street in Conyers, Georgia, and I'd like to call the order the what's this?
The
May
zoning public hearing?
the zoning public hearing for May 23rd,
Third. Yes,
2024. All of my days are running together.
absolutely.
So may I get an approval of the agenda, please?
I move to approve the agenda.
I second. It's been motioned and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor? Aye. The motion carries. And approval of the February 22nd minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from February 22nd, 2024.
I second. It's been motioned and second to approve the minutes for February 22nd, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the motion carries also. Next order is the rule of procedures for public hearings.
So we will let that play.
Thank you.
Each speaker must sign their name to the appropriate zoning case sheet and fill out a public comment card to register their intent to speak prior to the start of this meeting. Each item of business shall be handled in the order that it appears on the agenda, unless upon motion of the board, the order is changed. A member of the county planning staff will present each item to the board and will provide recommendations made by both the planning staff and the Conyers-Rockdale Planning Commission for each item of business. The zoning applicant or the agent will have 10 minutes in which to make his or her presentation. Any portion of their 10 minutes may be reserved for rebuttal following the opposition to the application. After the applicant's presentation, all registered speakers who wish to speak in favor of the application will then be heard. They will also be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the applicant has made his or her presentation and the speakers in favor of the application have been heard, the secretary will then call upon the registered speakers in opposition to the application. The opposition shall likewise be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the public hearing portion is closed, no other speakers will be heard. As a reminder, speakers are to address the board and not the applicant or the audience and are expected to conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. The use of abusive or profane language shall not be allowed. No debate or argument between speakers shall be permitted. After all public comments have been heard, the board may elect to hold general discussion. However, no decisions will be rendered at this hearing. Decisions will be made at the next regularly scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting. Appeals shall be filed with the Clerk of Rockdale County Superior Court within 30 days after the final decision by the Board of Commissioners.
All right. Is that it? That's it? Okay.
And item number 5, there's no old or unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business, and that will be Deputy Director Wheeler.
Good evening, Commissioners. Commissioner
evening.
Washington, Dr. Williams, it's good to see you guys this evening.
I know it's been a minute, hasn't it?
I know, ma'am. I have to let me get my kinks out and so forth. The first item on the agenda is RZ case 2024-03. The applicant is Crawford Creek Communities, represented by Mr. Dean Kahn. The subject property is 1079 Southwest Johnson Road. The applicant has a petition before you this evening to rezone the subject property from C1 to RM, residential multifamily, for the development of 41 townhomes. The star indicates the location of the subject property. The subject property is located southwest of the intersection of Klondike Road and Johnson Road, approximately 976 feet. It does have frontage along Johnson Road, which is approximately 209 feet. Located to the south of the subject property is a residential multifamily development. Located to the north of the subject property is a R2 residential two-family development. And located to the east and west is the city of Conyers. Specifically to the property located to the south of the subject property, it is actually part of this overall development. That development was rezoned in 2021 for a total of 68 townhomes. So again, just to kind of make it very clear, this zoning is part of an existing development that's occurring right now. They are coming in to finish up the development by rezoning this property from C1 to residential multifamily.
So is that the Eastmore development?
No, ma'am. The Eastmore
No.
development is across the street
Across
in the
the
city of
street.
Conyers.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I do not, the name of this development slips me, but I'm sure the developer will be able to tell me what the
Okay.
existing name of this one was. So again, the property located to the south was rezoned in 2021. Specifically, those townhomes were 42 front-loaded and 26 rear-loaded. For this development tonight, the applicant has indicated, again, we'll be doing 6 units per building for a total of 41 units. That comes out to 8.2 units per acre. The RM zoning classification does allow for 12 units per acre. I've highlighted in red the actual development. As you can see, the located to the south is the development that's currently, the property that's currently under development at this point in time. The applicant has indicated that they will have to apply for an administrative variance to reduce the transitional buffer located to the north because they're requesting an RM. The RM zoning classification requires a 50-foot transitional buffer between the single-family and the multifamily home. So they've indicated, again, if this zoning is approved, they will be seeking an administrative variance to reduce the 50-foot buffer to 25-foot. The applicant has also indicated that there will be 29 guest parking spaces for this property. With all our applications, staff has provided technical analysis as well as other department comments for this application. Planning staff did recommend approval with 8 conditions. The Planning Commission did recommend approval as well with an additional condition as well. Please hold your breath, ma'am. The additional condition that the Planning Commission did recommend was to include a 15% rental cap for this development as well. In the original development back in 2021, they also have a condition of 15% for that development too. So the Planning Commission's intent was to mirror the previous development to match this one as well. The applicant is here to do a presentation. I do ask you to hold your questions until the applicant has presented at that time because your questions may have been answered.
Chris, do you have a clicker? Looks like a full mouse. So can I go front and back? Okay. This is a new one. Kenneth Wood, 350 Research Court, Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Hope you guys are doing amazing tonight. So this is a development we're very proud of. This would be basically the phase 3 of the development. I actually have some handouts. I know it's sometimes, a little bit further. Is that okay to be able to present those to you guys? We had printed a couple, one for the
Thanks.
city, so for the county manager, one for the clerk, and then also 2 for you guys coming in. And so the existing project that you see on here is actually called Klondike Reserve that's out there in the site. And so the developer is Crawford Creek Communities. They have been out there essentially under construction on the phase 1. Yes. Oh, just kidding. I didn't want to see that reminder. Calendar pledge. Coming through a little bit of info about them. And this was basically portions of this. So Eastmore is across the street here. You have the multifamily that's just north of the site, and it's basically kind of a wedge site. Back when phase 1 and phase 2 were being done several years ago, we actually reached out. We actually tried to see if this property was available. At that time, it was not. But as a standalone site, it doesn't really, it almost has to work with the other in terms of access. You couldn't have the second access point that we have on this one and then get another one just, 80 feet over. And so it sets up really well to be part of phase 3 for this community. You can kind of see it as we run through the way the plan's set up. The other thing too that was really exciting is, Planning Commission approval. It was really awesome. And so we were able to get that. One of the things that stood out that we talked about was, it's already in a flue that supports the RM. It's already part of another phase, and we're taking all of the conditions that we had in those first two phases and basically saying you can bring those forward. The rental caps, everything else that we had for the conditions, the style of homes, everything coming forward. So it definitely makes sense for it to fit together in this. And this map, this part of the actual county maps, you can actually see it really well about how it's wedged in between them. And it shows how that whole map would just basically slide up to the apartments to the north of them and be part of one whole phase that would be essentially phase 1 through 3 as we are completed. This is probably one of the best slides to show you guys in terms of how this sets up. And so we're able to take the roads. You have basically guest parking across the street from the townhomes, and then you have a large green space area in between the phase 2 and the phase 3 in between here. So it actually sets up really well for a large green space, because the way phase 1 and phase 2 went together, since we're sliding it over, you actually create this pocket, which is basically right in, I think you can see if I can, I don't know if you can see the mouse, but kind of right into the bottom of those, and you can see where the backs of the other townhomes are going to be. You basically have about an 80-foot section that's just going to be green space all the way down through there. And you can see at the top where we enter into the community, you basically have that existing drive that would basically be tied into. That will already be existing by the time this would be constructed. And so it's basically set up for the development as you go through in the future. And you can kind of see more on the technical plan from here. You have basically the landscape strips along the front, the road that comes in, the circular road, we would tie into that and then go back to the back of the property, and that's where the existing stream buffers would be. And this is a look at the overall. This kind of gives you a good idea of what that phase 1 looks like in phase 2, and then how that phase 3 fits in as well with it, as you can kind of see from the top of it. Cal McShane is with me here tonight from Crawford Creek Communities. If you guys have any questions for them, but like I said, it was zoned in 2021, and we're essentially under construction now, and this would be the phase 3 of the community. And zoning it to RM, all of the conditions we are fine with in terms of moving it through, having the same type of cementitious materials, brick, stone, hardy, no inferior materials on the units coming through. And with that, I can take any questions you guys may have about the project and the way the phases may work and how we're tying it in. But essentially, phase 1 and 2 set up for phase 3, so we left all those curb cuts so they could just be tied into, so it makes it a part of the development.
Commissioner Williams, do you have any questions?
Okay, so what's the ratio of front-loading garages and back-loading garages?
Let's see. Do you know what the ratio is?
There are some rear loading.
Well, here.
I'm Calvin Stanley at Crawford Creek. There are some rear loading that were stipulated in the phase 2 on the first. That's the first section that you're seeing up in the front. These are all in that phase 3. These are all front loaded. Obviously, yeah, they're wedged. Obviously, the conditions and for us to maintain the buffers, obviously to put the others in the rear, that's going to be very difficult to do. But we do have those rear loads in the front.
Thank you.
So, are there any, is it possible to get this kind of landscaping and ornamentation and like, to me, that's the kind of welcoming feel that I would like to see going into a townhome community. One of the things that I'm hearing from residents is that the townhomes that are being built, we're not requiring enough green space, but they don't feel welcoming. They don't have curb appeal. They don't feel or look as if these units are worth $300,000. Let me say it that way. So what I would like to see is more emphasis on the curb appeal, the landscaping, how it feels when you're approaching the units. Definitely, they're saying that the exterior do not look, the ones that are coming up now, and of course we can't see your product, but they're saying that they don't look like $300,000, $400,000 units. They look like something else. And so as I've been traveling around Metro Atlanta, I've been seeing that there are townhome communities that have the aesthetic that they look like, oh, okay, this might not be a $700,000-800,000 unit, but it looks like they are something that you pay almost $500,000 for. So I would like to see some more of that. Those would be the requirements that going forward with townhomes that I would like to start requiring, like more curb appeal, more warmth, more just more. It looks like we're in a $300,000 to $400,000 community as opposed to something else.
Well, yeah, and one of the things that our CEO, Dean Kahn, he's super big on landscaping. That's one of the things that he actually personally comes out and picks the plants and we do a tremendous job on landscaping. That's one of our big features that we do to bring that curb appeal.
Right.
There's always a saying, when you want people to come into your community, you want them shaking their heads
Right.
just
Exactly.
like this.
Exactly.
And it starts at the front.
Right.
And it comes in, and that's extremely important. We take pride in that in our company.
One of the things I'm hearing, like coloring, they prefer the brick siding, definitely not white brick, but they like the color, like the brown brick or the mauve looking bricks, something that doesn't look industrial. So those are the comments that we're hearing from the community. They would like, if we're going to make way for townhomes, they would like for them to look more appealing than what they're seeing coming up now. So that just.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Oh, so none of them will have the front porches and all of this that we have on this picture? I don't know.
And really, I mean, that front stoop up there, it's really gonna just depend on when we, the topography and the flat, we'll just have to see.
Okay.
That's all gonna flow out for each unit or different units and how they're stepped down. We'll just have to that kind of gets to where the building part in terms of how the porches or steps and all those are gonna be created.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of it's.
In 2021, I didn't know to ask these questions, because I've learned so much in these 3 years. Okay, those are all of my questions. Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank
Is
you.
there anyone signed up to speak? Okay, then we can move to the next item.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am. So the last item on the agenda is RZ case 2024-08. Applicant is Mr. David Allen Lutzen. His petition before you this evening is to rezone 1955 Southeast Flat Shoals Road from R1 to C1. The total acreage for that subject property is 4.3 acres. Next slide, please. The star indicates the location of the subject property. Again, the subject property is zone R1. The subject property is southwest of the intersection of Flat Shoals Road, or depending on your GIS, Avondale or Financial Boulevard. That subject property is adjacent to commercial properties and residential properties. Currently, the subject property has a single-family home located on it, and nothing else. The hash marks on the map indicates that the subject property is located adjacent to the Salem Road corridor overlay. Next slide, please. As indicated in the application, this applicant has not indicated which commercial development he's looking to develop at this point in time. He's actually looking to sell the subject property, as the home used to belong to his mother, and I'll allow him to be able to speak more clearly to that. Therefore, since he has not indicated which commercial property, staff did recommend approval. However, we did approval with certain conditions and certain prohibited commercial uses on the subject property. If the commissioners would like for me to read it into the record, I can at this point in time.
Yes, please.
For part of the conditions, specifically condition number 3, staff would like to retail and service commercial, office, and accessory uses shall be permitted. The following uses shall be prohibited: adult entertainment venues or stores, automotive repair and accessory stores, automotive repair, beauty supply stores, beer, wine, and liquor stores, car washes, contractor office, data processing services, emissions inspection stations, equipment rental facilities, motor vehicle sales or rentals, pawn shop, self-storage, smoke, vape, tobacco, or CBD shops, tattoo parlors, or taxidermists, as well as those are the listed prohibited uses that we have suggested if this applicant is recommended approval for the rezoning.
There are a list of others that I would like to.
Yes, ma'am.
include.
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
Get with you later. But, did you have any, was that,
Yes, ma'am. Again, as always, provide technical analysis. It kind of jumped the gun and said we did recommend approval. Planning Commission did recommend approval as well. They agreed with all our conditions. And they didn't have any extra conditions on the for this applicant.
can I ask a technical question?
Yes, ma'am.
I know they're asking for commercial, but if we wanted to do something more mixed use so that we can develop this a little bit trendier with the same, something that could have retail on the bottom with maybe some loft apartments on top or something like that, how would we go about doing that at this point as opposed to having to go back through the planning process altogether?
Yes, ma'am. So as part of your rezoning powers, you can approve the condition as requested, or you can approve at a zoning that's lesser intent than commercial. Mixed use would be considered kind of less intense because it is a mixture of different uses instead of just a strictly commercial use. So you do have that power as a board to rezone at a lesser intense use if you choose to.
And, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And the applicant is here too, unless you have any additional questions of staff.
No, I'm trying to picture in my head exactly where this is.
Oh, yes, ma'am. If we could pull it back out of, that is the aerial map. Again, I apologize. I forgot to include a first person picture in the
I thought I
PowerPoint.
saw them.
Okay, so it's Flat Shoes, okay.
It's right on the corner. You're going down Flat Shows.
Mhm.
It's on page 4 and 5 in your packet.
Right, and I'm looking at that.
Like trying to see, okay.
So there's commercial nearby, is that what we're
This
saying?
one.
What page is that on?
Commissioner Washington, I'd like
Yes.
to clarify something. My staff pointed out to me I did make an error. Currently, right now, the mixed-use development is only allowed in the Salem Road corridor overlay, so I apologize for that. I was mixed up because of the adjacent location of the property. The property is not located in the overlay corridor, so it's not eligible for it to be zoned as mixed use. However, if the property was in the overlay, it then could be eligible to be zoned mixed use district.
How do we extend the overlay?
We would have to go through the zoning process to include them into the overlay. That's a separate process than from what this is.
So we approve this, but we want to put them in the overlay. We have to do this all over again?
Yes, ma'am. So if desired to have this subject property included into the overlay, we would have to do another amendment or another rezoning to include this subject property into the overlay district. Because the overlay zoning district has its own set of conditions, and this petition is strictly to rezone from R1 to C1. That was not presented as an option for this case.
It just seems like since that they're not selling, this would be a perfect jump off spot for something that everybody's asking for, the mixed use with the trendy lofts with something on the bottom. And I would be very interested in talking about how we could do something to help if we went through the development authority to do something like that, to make it, I would think, more attractive to sell. But I don't want to have more cost to you all. Definitely don't want to do that. But I just think that doing something more in line with what's going on in real estate and in the commercial area and with where we're trying to move the county is better for not just you, but for us, because then we can try to do something that I think would be good for all involved. And this would be a true way to start that economic development trend, especially in the overlay district. So I would like to see how we could sit down and make something like that work, if you all are open to it, if you all just want to see one. But I think that doing something more creative might be better for everybody involved. So those are my thoughts right here. But did you have anything, Commissioner?
I need to go out and see the property and see what's around it. Maybe you can tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about what is
absolutely.
all around it. And
Yeah, absolutely. And let me first start off by saying good evening. Thank
Good
you.
evening. I'm so sorry.
No,
Thank you.
you're good. You're good. I am not as formal as this because I'm the landowner, so I apologize. To give you some feedback on it, my mother lived there up until September. She ended up passing away. The house is not livable. Okay, she ended up having a hot water heater bust without her knowing, so it's got mold and stuff in the bottom. It's literally a demolish and use the property for something. The reason I'm going C1, to be 100% honest with you, the 2 acres directly across the street sold to a gas station, okay, that offered and paid $1,050,000 for the property. They offered us $450,000 after Mom passed away, trying to take advantage of a situation. The property is surrounded by commercial. What's happened is on Salem Road, when you get off of I-20, to kind of give you an idea, when you get off of I-20 and hang a right, I guess it was the county that bought out, or the city, one or the other, bought out all the properties on the right-hand side, the Raceway gas station, my dad's old hardware store that used to be right there on Salem Road, to do a widening project from I-20.
Yeah, that was a state. Please don't say that the county did it, because people
gotcha,
be trying to figure out where we got all the money, and we'll have open records requests.
All
and
right,
it's-
perfect. Well, what they've done is they've purchased all the property. They've shut down 3 different gas stations with that occurring, okay? And then when you turn right onto Flat Shoals, it's going to widen all the way up to the intersection at Mom's house.
Right.
It's a commercial location. As much as I hate to say that, because it was my mom's home. I grew up there. I lived there for 35 years. My dad built the house. His hardware store was right there where we sold the property to Raceway years ago, you know. So, I mean, that's home. But with the amount of construction that's going on around it, with the gas station going across the street, the property on all sides except next to me is commercial. And I'm on a corner lot with numerous curb cuts exiting onto Flat Shoals and Avalon. There's also a curb cut on the back side of the property that dumps out back where the doctor's offices and all are. So I don't have any plans with that property but to sell it, be able to, you know, take care of Mom's estate and move forward. But I'm not going to accept less than what it's worth just to take advantage of a situation. So I'm going through the rezoning process myself. We've had numerous contracts that have come on it from self-storage. At one time, now that I know it was the state, Olive Garden was looking to go across the corner. Racetrack, not Raceway, but the actual corporation Racetrack was looking at across the street as well, and developing that similar to what you're talking about. But a lot of that has fallen through. A self-storage unit tried to go there, but their blueprint was for 100,000 square feet. The county approved 75. For them to go back and redo the blueprint, it wasn't of value to them. So most of the contracts that we've had, I'm trying to eliminate the due diligence period. They know what stipulations. I'm okay with 100% with the stipulations the county put forward for the property. The future land use is commercial. And so I'm looking to just get that so that I can get the value that the property is actually worth and not just accept, I don't know the right way to say it, but a lowball offer just
How
because
many-
of its zoning.
Gas stations, did you say are around it?
So that's kind of the issue as well, is BP on the corner got bought out. Little Henry's on the other corner got bought out, which is the one that tried to offer us a very low figure. Raceway got closed down. So if you were coming up Flat Shoals Road from Conyers, let's say at McDonald's, and you go up Flat Shoals and you need gas, your only gas station, nobody wants to turn right on Salem Road, I'm sorry, but they don't. But your only gas station from there all the way to the interstate is the little BP or Chevron that's right at the interstate. And that's it. They closed down 3 gas stations in order to make that widening project. So that's kind of where I'm at and the purpose in rezoning this. My neighbor that is to the left, her name is Miss Kim. She's actually wanting to rezone as well. She just didn't know the process. She actually came to the last meeting and is okay with having commercial directly beside her. So that's kind of where we're at with it. So any questions I can answer, I'll be more than happy to. But something you will notice, and you're saying driving by, something you will notice is it's changing right there whether we want it to or not, right? The state, I see we had no say in it as a county, but it's commercial property. When you see all around it, you will notice it is commercial property, especially when across the street starts building up and it's surrounded completely by commercial. There's office buildings behind it. Across the street is a veterinarian office, and then across the street will be the gas station. So
Real familiar.
it's, again, now that they built all the apartments kind of catty-cornered that was on Dad's property where the hardware store used to be, they put up, a bunch of apartments, kind of knocked out a bunch of the trees. So now it's just, it looks more commercialized in that area. So I'm trying to get the value of the property that it's actually worth. So that's why I agreed with the stipulations that they had put forward, because they make sense, and at that point, any buyer that comes forward to my real estate agent can simply say, here's the stipulations that were put forward. If you want to follow those, let's move forward. And if not, then we don't have to sit there and go through 90 to 180 days of due diligence period. It's extra property that I'm having to pay for. So, all right. Do you have any other questions?
No, you've given a really good overview for
Yes,
me
ma'am.
of the property and what's around it and how we got here and
Yeah.
and the description of the road widening
Right.
and the impact of that. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's coming to the intersection at her home on that corner. And they've purchased all that property. They've already started, the BP is torn down. I saw last week when I went by to keep the grass cut and all, I went by and they're already pulling Raceway, all the gas pumps out and everything. So, I mean, it's moving forward, and that construction is just going to go right to the corner of her property.
okay, thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Was anyone signed up to speak? Okay, that's it.
Wow. Well, do you have any comments?
I don't.
I don't have any comments either.
All right.
Everybody's on vacation. Everybody's tired.
I think so.
We should have had all of our hearings today. So.
Okay. Have to adjourn us.
Oh, I'm sorry. We are adjourned.
Thank you.